Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we're looking at a very landmark issue of Uncanny X-Men, Uncanny X-Men number 144 from 1981. This is the first issue of the series after John Byrne's departure, after like a 3-year plus landmark revolutionary run. So we're going to see what happened the very next issue after he left. Guest penciled by Brent Anderson, the amazing legendary comic book artist. So it should be a fun one. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button and let's get right into it. I love this cover. I think it is so cool, so iconic. This is definitely me reading this for the first time, just devouring X-Men back issues. I came in at issue 163, so anything before that is me just lucking out at the comic book store. And I must have been lucky because I feel like I got a bunch of these all at once at a relatively cheap price at the time, but obviously it was still the 80s, so, you know, I'm sure they're worth a lot more now. So notable, this issue. We still have the Byrne heads in the corner box. I'm not sure exactly what was going on editorially, but at this point, John Byrne has left the building after a legendary run, a tumultuous legendary run, perhaps. Irreconcilable differences between writer Chris Claremont and John Byrne. John Byrne kind of wanting to go off. They offered him writer-penciler of Fantastic Four, and he thought, let that be my thing. In so many ways, I suppose. So Brent Anderson comes in, I'm guessing as a fill-in artist, yeah, because guest penciler. Perhaps because Dave Cockrum is coming back next issue, and he would stay on until I think that issue, my first issue, was his last issue of his second run, if that makes sense. I love these old ads. This so screams comic book, like ad from the 80s. Like, if not before then. I mean, come on, you could get a ventriloquist dummy for $3.49. I would totally, I'm sure it's like a miniature one, but I want that. I want 100 tiny magnets. I want the Hercules wristband. There's like no wasted toy on this page. I'm sure they're all cheap and horrifying when you get them, if you even get them. I don't know. Anyone care to comment, watching, gives a crap about Uncanny X-Men 144? Did anyone ever mail away for this stuff? I feel like I always wanted to, and my mom would never let me. I'm sure that's a shared experience, much like reading the comic book itself. What a gorgeous shot of Man-Thing. I love, I feel like Man-Thing is like, you know, there's so many characters in Marvel and DC where they have their answer to each other's characters, like, sort of like doppelgangers, almost bizarro world versions of each other, but similar. You know, in Man-Thing, Swamp Thing, obviously. I do believe Swamp Thing came first, but I do have a reverence for Man-Thing because, I mean, he came from 70s Marvel, which not many things can hold a candle to, except for 80s Marvel. All right. The art is so gorgeous. Brent Anderson, of course, would go on to co-create Astro City with Alex Ross and Kurt Busiek. He would go on to pencil and ink the groundbreaking, amazing, legendary God Loves, Man Kills graphic novel, along with Chris Claremont. And aside from an X-Men annual that I had just recently found out about that I had not read, I think it's, Philip, are you watching? Which one did you tell me? Number 5, maybe, that Brent Anderson penciled. And interesting to note, I don't know at what point, I don't know if it was right after Byrne, or maybe more around the time God Loves, Man Kills, but Brent Anderson, maybe after Paul Smith left, Brent Anderson was offered the X-Men, as Bill Sienkiewicz was offered the X-Men as well, and both turned it down. So, I mean, we've had a plethora of amazing X-artists, and it's kind of cool. I think this might be the only regular issue that Brent Anderson did, but I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it is. So anyway, we have Chris Claremont, writer, Brent Anderson, guest penciler, Joseph Rubinstein, inker, legendary inker Joseph Rubinstein. I think his inks are perfect for Brent Anderson. He definitely works well with people who have a great sort of almost sketchy pencil-looking sketch style in a way. Glynis Wein, colorist. Tom Orzechowski, letterer. The anchor to Chris Claremont right there. Louise Jones, editor. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. Classic hallmarks of like a Marvel comic. I love this masthead here. So great. This seems a little controversial for a comic book. Someone like committing suicide full on, like right in front of everybody. I think you probably wouldn't see as much of that anymore with a lot of the, you know, gun issues and things like that going on here, especially in a comic book. But this art and the storytelling is so beautiful. And Brent Anderson is just so amazing. And I love his Astro City. And I just like, what a solid penciler all the way back in 1980. I mean, he definitely is a classic artist who knows how to draw very well. He's a great draftsman too. Just like, I love his pencils. And hats off to Joseph Rubinstein for doing such a great job. And this Despair is so cool. I love that. That was such a great panel right there. I would love to see this like in an artist edition or the original art. I'm sure it's absolutely breathtaking. Like this doc, we get Lee Forrester. Is this the introduction to Lee Forrester? Perhaps. Cyclops has left to, you know, find himself. And I kind of like that we get to see, you know, Cyclops' life outside of the X-Men, you know, running parallel to what's going on with the X-Men. Angel hanging around. Brent Anderson really draws some gorgeous looking X-Men. I mean, look at that Wolverine, Storm, and Angel. It's so beautiful. Shadowcat. I love her body language. Like, this is so good. And this is what I always say, you know, like a great comic book storyteller. And that's, I think, part of the fun of flipping through these books and just like looking at the art is that, you know, testing the metal of the artist as far as, you know, take out the words and you still kind of know what's going on. And that's like such great comic book storytelling. Great shot of Nightcrawler. I just remember loving this issue so much and thinking it was so beautifully illustrated. Like, I had not as much investment as an artist and like, you know, I think I was definitely more becoming aware of names. And I mean, John Byrne, obviously, George Perez, Art Adams, Paul Smith, like all artists who made me need to know who they were and gobble up everything they drew. This is such a great, like, different story too. Like, it really stands out almost as a fill-in issue, but in a good way. Like, I don't know, it just seems like such a departure. You get like this really dark story with despair and, you know, this guy like shooting himself in the head and like all this great moody Brent Anderson art that is so classic. I just love it. Like, it is so good. Melted. I always loved a good melted Iceman with the Neil Adams costumes. So great. Classic Havoc right there. I love, like, I don't know, this is like and I remember saying in one of my more recent videos too, like, that's like always the language of comic books. Like, just like, no matter who draws it, you kind of always know that that's what Havoc's power is supposed to look like. That is a rough looking Storm face. I mean, I don't know if it was Brent or Joseph, but Colossus and Storm basically have the same face in that panel, and that should not be allowed to have happened in an otherwise flawlessly illustrated comic book. Such great storytelling, so good. The little retelling insight into Cyclops' origin. I don't know how much had been touched upon at this point, how solid we were with that. I don't know if Corsair of the Starjammers had been revealed to be his father yet or not. I think maybe, perhaps. Yeah. I'm sure. I need to get my X-Men timelines in order. I always remember thinking that was so cool. Very great. You know, it's funny because And I don't want to take away anything from Brent Anderson, aside from the fact that I think he was a young artist at the time. And, you know, so many artists were influenced by Neil Adams. And I feel like I'm definitely seeing a lot of that in the art. And that's high praise indeed. I just remember, like, I don't know, like, comic book storytelling, like, this era was just, like, so good. And so, I don't know, exciting, and the art is just so beautiful. I remember being blown away by panels like these, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 panels on this page, and there's still such like dynamism to it without there being like, you know, a bunch of money shots all over the place. Not that I don't love a good money shot. And screw you to the person who said I always work in an innuendo, because I guess there it is, that my show is this close to becoming a drinking game because of you get a drink when I do an innuendo. So, all right. Shots all around. Anyway, I'll take it. I mean, that's like the highest honor right there, right? Yeah, the highest honor if your YouTube channel is a drinking game. Anyway, that can't be the last panel, is it? That was the last panel. This is like just such beautiful storytelling. Like, you know, it just shows like just another great collaboration between Chris Claremont and an amazing artist. I mean, he's had so many, and you know, the story is just so beautiful and like equal in a way to like their collaboration on God Loves Man Kills. And it's just like a single issue from the monthly title. So truly amazing. You could see the X-Men, even though it was a devastating blow for many, I'm sure, when John Byrne left, but they were still in good hands. So there it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. Uncanny X-Men 144, illustrated by the amazing, legendary Brent Anderson, inked by Joseph Rubinstein, and written, of course, by the godfather of the X-Men, Chris Claremont. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, share my content. I'll bring you more soon. Thanks, guys.